Good evening to everyone and welcome to our another session to share with you something which has come up in many of our discussion, either it is with the clients or with the student, and I thought I will share with our Ayurvedic community through this platform that what Ayurveda has to say about Ahar, Vihar and Vichar. There are three pillars of our life. Now, when we talk about these three pillars, they are not just for us to know, understand, but what Ayurveda talk about, that it is a matter of once you have understood them, their implementation in your life in its true sense without altering their essence, their values, their meaning for your personal interest. And under Ahar, I am going to talk about today eating meat in Ayurveda, because many of our students have spoken about that why we say eating meat is not good, and even they try to quote many of our old AIS students who in their different aspect try to justify that yes, eating meat is perfectly fine and you can still make progress in your life, whatever you want to achieve. And that put many into so much of doubt that what this all means. And I have made very clear from the very beginning, whenever anyone tried to come and join Ayurveda to learn at AIS, and even in different platforms, I have shared very clearly that Ayurvedic science is not a modality. Ayurvedic science is a philosophy. Ayurvedic science is a thought, and Ayurvedic science is that thought and that philosophy where it talk about that whatever you learn, you must put it in your own life, and that where it gives us a clear demarcation that as a Ayurvedic practitioner, how your lifestyle, how your Ahar, how your Vihar, how your Vichar should be. But when you are dealing with your client in the clinic, they are coming to you to seek advice for their current imbalances, their serious chronic ailment, and they are coming to us only because they have tried everything else and it has not worked for them, or might have given them some temporary solution and the problem has come more strongly back again, or the problems has been keep getting worse and worse. And that's where they try to seek Ayurvedic advice. With them, our focus is not to shift or not to tilt all the thoughts, all their Ahar, Vihar and Vichar. What our principle is and what we learn throughout the course, whether you are doing in a diploma course or an advanced diploma, or we have done 5-year Ayurvedic degree, where it is very clearly stated that when we are sitting in our clinic, our focus is how I can help this client, how I can enhance that client's awareness towards their life, how I can enhance their awareness what goes in their body, how I can enhance their understanding that how they can make their food as medicine, how I can enhance their awareness that they need to take responsibility in their well-being by themselves, and that's what we empower them with various Ayurvedic lifestyle and diet and daily regimes. At that time, our focus is not at any stage to make them understand that you can only learn Ayurveda or you can only use Ayurvedic principle for the treatment of your main problem, what you came to me, if you become a vegetarian, or if you start chanting Om, or if you look at other values what Ayurveda talk about in their Vihar and Vichar principles. No, at that stage we are not going to talk about that. It is up to that client afterwards, once they have seen how much benefit Ayurvedic principle has given them, that how much they want to move in their life. And that where Ayurveda talk about in all its ancient texts very clearly, that when, if you look at, for example, your Chikitsa Sthan in Ayurveda, in Charka, yes, it has mentioned that you are using, or you as a practitioner allowed to prescribe, allowed to let your client eat this particular meat, whatever meat that might be. And it is, I am talking about those 5,000 years ago, these principles, when even though we are talking about the meat, but procuring the meat, how it was taken, was all totally different. Not the type of the meat what we talk about today, more and more processed, but I am not going to go into those discussions at all. My discussion, my message from here is that those who are on the name of Ayurveda, talking about that in Ayurvedic principles, it is talked about that eating meat is very good, right? Don't please, for the sake of your own selfish motive, try to, what I should say, I am trying to find on a very soft word to ruin the Ayurvedic principle. Because for those who try to talk about these things at different platforms, they must look at Ayurvedic principles, Ayurvedic science, Ayurvedic knowledge in its bigger picture. And bigger picture is, if they are talking about Chikitsa Sthan, they must also go to the Indriya Sthan also. They might also need to go to the Manovigyan in Ayurveda. And they also need to look at the fourth dharma of Ayurveda, where we talk about the fourth aim is your moksha, how that part. They also need to look at the three qualities of the mind, where we talk about sattvic, rajasic and tamasic part. So on those principles, Ayurveda has clearly stated that if someone practicing Ayurveda, someone following Ayurvedic principle, they need to choose what is the purpose of me getting into this philosophy, this science. What is my objective? If my objective is only to run the practice and make my day-to-day living, my focus is just to let my expenses being paid by this science, no harm. Do that whatever one is capable of doing that. But if someone is pretending and trying to project themselves that I am practicing Ayurveda to fulfill its all the goal what Ayurveda has shared with me, I am following those principles where in Ayurvedic psychology, in Ayurvedic spirituality, we look at the first step of understanding the principle of sattva, rajas and tamas, and I am sure just by giving answer to those questions of sattva, rajas, tamas does not make me sattvic, does not make me rajasic, does not make me tamasic. It's my ahar, vihar and vichar at every moment in my life is going to prove that at every step. And then I'm sure every one of us will be able to understand that if in my life the most important component is my ahar, is predominantly with that rajas element, because that is how the quality of the different food has been described in Ayurveda. And if that food predominantly is rajasic and the way we procure nowadays is tamasic, how come my thoughts will be sattvic? That is the one answer those people need to give themselves. So that's the way first part comes up, that it is not that Ayurveda has not given you the answer to every your question. Ayurveda is capable and has been always capable to give you that answer for everything. But when we try to look at the answers for our own selfish and personal interest and trying to project them for public, that's where the issue comes up, that how we are trying to make people to follow Ayurveda in a more fragmented way. We can see that the same thing happen into our yoga. Now, how many of us understand totally complete yoga philosophy? For us, yoga is only now asanas, and that asana also not for following in my whole life. Asanas has only that how I can learn in 2 weeks, how I can then start marketing myself as the yoga master, and how I start running my yoga retreats and not looking at any other limbs of yoga. So same is in Ayurveda. Then we look at our vihar and vichar, and again vichar is your thoughts, vihar is your action and your behavior in your whole life, at your personal level, in your personal life, how you deal with your families, what respect you have. All that part is something what Ayurveda has given us in this Ayurvedic Ahar, Vihar and Vichar. But problem is when we only try to incorporate something for my own benefit, that's where we pass on a wrong message to the public who is keen to learn Ayurveda, follow Ayurvedic principle, want to follow Ayurveda for their well-being. But when they see these various controversial informations, that's where the doubt comes up in their mind. Then further is whether eating salad is talked about in Ayurveda is good or bad. Again, many will be talking about that part. In the same way, drinking alcohol and smoking marijuana and smoking cigarette will be also in the same way. They are coming up in your vihar. So all these various components, small part, play a huge role in putting that individual's bigger picture in front of anyone who is trying to seek their advice or follow them. So just sharing here with you that when someone is asking this question about me, yes, those who are following Ayurveda as a part of their life, as a part of their profession, as a part of their being associated with Ayurveda day and night, meat eating will never be or should be a part of their life. That is the full stop part. But when it comes to the client, you're never going to ask them to stop. Your focus is how are you going to help them to make their whatever the meat or things they are eating as medicine, how they can prepare them, how they can cook in a better way. Even we all know that people will be eating wonderful fruits, right? But when they eat fruit which has so much value, but when they mix in the milk and mix in the yogurt to make their smoothies, we know how poisonous it can be for your body. And that's the difference we have to share with them and make them understand. And when they understand and follow your principle and see the benefit, that is why they value Ayurveda. So, as a Ayurvedic practitioner, as a Ayurvedic student, as a Ayurvedic follower or being having some responsibility, same thing comes up in our other thoughts. Now, if I have to share here, I can share about the current situation where the vaccination part has come up. Now, doing your vaccination, not doing vaccination is purely independent decision, and we all need to respect that decision. But then at the same time, yes, when we listen to the different views, different news, what is happening around us, and we start getting frustrated. Point here is, I might have my own view and then I might act on that. But then getting frustrated and then building up a lot of suppressed emotion, and those suppressed emotions are impacting my sleep, and my sleep getting impact on my immune system, fatigue and tiredness, and then I get into coffee and other stimulant to cover up my fatigue and tiredness. Who will say me wise? I need to know, first of all, my own well-being, how it is getting affected by these things. When I know I don't have the ability and capability to be in a position to impact or alter some bigger decision on a bigger platform, I can feel that I might not be agree to them, but at the same time I don't need to let those impact on me that why that is happening out in the world. And that's how we always have to look at. I don't need to let my vichar, my thoughts, to get affected and then impact me. All that aspect, first of all, should be with a focus how they impact my well-being. I am responsible for my well-being, and that's what Ayurveda has talked about, that your Ahar, your Vihar, your Vichar must be to the optimum aspect so that they can minimize all those coverings on your chit, on your consciousness, so that you always have the ability to lift yourself upward. You're not going to be under the burden of all those darkness which will then make you a creeper in this universe. And that's not what Ayurveda talk about. Ayurveda talk, enhance your awareness, share that awareness with others, enhance their awareness, and so that they can pass on that Ahar, Vihar and Vichar in their own life and improve that. And that's what all about wellness chain. But wellness chain does not allow us to pass on the wrong and fragmented information for our own personal interest. So that's what I would like to share today, that this was some messages coming to me, and I thought I will bring it to everyone, and I hope you all can understand what Ayurveda give us and what Ayurveda has given for centuries to us, and we should respect its true principle, not the altered principle and using various social medias. Thanks everyone.